this is Chippy with CarryPad.com, and I'm here with the Galaxy Tab. After 6 weeks using the device now, I think it's time to just put some thoughts together. Not about what's good about the device, because a lot of people have written really good things about the Galaxy Tab, and in general I think it's one of the best handheld devices I've ever owned, and actually fits one of the things I wrote about very early on in my blogging career, which was the CarryPad. And this really does fit my idea of something that's location enabled, connectivity enabled, entertainment enabled, and a little bit of productivity as well. But there are limits, and in this video I just want to go over some things that the Galaxy Tab can't be used for or isn't good at doing. So actually I've got a list that I've written on the Galaxy Tab. I'm going to start off with the camera. The camera is there really only to satisfy Google market's requirements, in my opinion. It's a 3.2 megapixel camera with a LED flash, and actually the quality of it is actually quite good for a 3.2 megapixel camera. The software really helps as well. It's fast, and with this huge viewfinder it works quite well, but it's not 2010, or let's even talk about 2011 standard. It needs to be a minimum 5 megapixel autofocus camera, maybe 720p recording. You're getting 720p recording on smartphones that cost 240 euros now, so it should be on there. So that's something that really should have been improved on the device. So if you're thinking about using this for videos and camera work, test it before you check the quality. The second thing I want to talk about, and this might be quite surprising, is the web experience. Now, we've got a Samsung 1 GHz Cortex-A9 variant in here, and actually in terms of smartphones this is actually quite a powerful processor. But in terms of using the web for productive applications, for multiple tabs and multitasking, it really isn't enough. And the ARM platform needs to evolve at least one more generation before we're seeing the sort of processing power that we even see on netbooks that enables multi-tabbing, full web pages. And to be honest, I've even switched flash capability off on this device, but I seem to be running through CPU like nobody's business. Web pages can really overload the CPU, and I'm finding that a problem. So when you're thinking about using this for web, remember, it really is a mobile web device, best used with mobile websites. Maybe be careful when you go to big web applications, and if you're using other applications in the background, it can be an issue as well. And talking about general multitasking, that is again one of the things that is a limit here. It's not just the web, it really is general platform power, not processing power only, but I'm talking about memory size, memory speed, disk speed or storage speed, and the processor as well. All those four elements are, let's say they are great for smartphone right now and actually make the smartphone experience quite impressive. But when you look at computers and you start thinking about this device as a computer, it's really entry level and half the performance that you get on a netbook. So again, one or two more generations needed in the ARM platform here, such that it's usable for multitasking, multiple tabs, flash running in the background, and all the sorts of wild operations that you're used to doing on your PC. Wild users and wild operating systems need a lot of platform support. So bear that in mind if you're thinking of going multitasking. It's so easy on Android to just fire up a load of apps, download a load of apps, and just leave everything running. Battery life on this is great and allows you to do it, but it is detrimental to the actual user experience of the device. One of the good things about this device is the video codec capability built in. Android has pretty much close to zero video codecs built in, H.263, H.264, but there's no support for Windows Media Video, there's no support for DivX, Xvid, etc, etc. Samsung have built this in with a capability up to 1080p, which is fantastic for local files. And what I thought would be quite nice is to use the DLNA capability. That's DLNA, which is basically home media networking. It allows media devices that are DLNA compliant to share and pass media information around amongst each other. So I thought this would be a nice client with my Windows Media Server Vista based device. Unfortunately, Vista doesn't support DLNA perfectly, so it's not working on this. not really the fault of the Galaxy Tab. So I switched to Twonky Server on again on my Vista server, and again it wasn't working too well. So that's only 2 DLNA applications I've tried. Both of them didn't work. But I also want to mention that it does take a little while to expose the libraries on a remote server, for example, and that I need to do some more testing. If you're going to use DLNA, in my experience, it's not the best client, and I've also heard other people say that as well. So be careful. Check that your DLNA server works with this device before buying it for DLNA purposes. With the HDMI dock, it's going to be really nice with that if it works. Sticking with video, and one of the things I just mentioned there, you need to buy the dock to get video out on this. Not just digital video out, but any video out, that's analog or digital. The HDMI dock, which also provides charging, analog audio out and HDMI out, is only about 35–40 euros, but it is another 40 euros. It's another 5 to 10% on the cost of the device, so that's something to be aware of. It would have been nice to enable at least analog AV out of the headset port as well. I'm really enjoying this for reading RSS feeds. In fact, I think this is probably the device I use most for RSS feed reading now, and that's as part of my job as a blogger, and also in general as well. I read newspapers, RSS feeds on it, and I think it's a really nice experience in terms of the size, the weight, and the screen experience as well. But I've also tried using electronic newspapers and electronic magazines using the built-in application Reader's Hub, which has recently had an update to enable Zinio, which is the magazine reader, and Newspaper Hub, is it? Let me just flick through to Reader's Hub just to check the name of that. Press Display, sorry. Press Display for newspapers, and Zinio for magazines. Unfortunately, it's not really working that well. Not that the application doesn't work, it's just the screen size, and this is obviously why Apple went with 9 inches for magazine and newspaper type reading, rich reading experience. You can zoom and pan around, but it feels like a huge web page on a tiny smartphone, and after a while, especially because you've got no text reflow, it gets really awkward. The initial excitement of having some of my favourite magazines, and as an expat some of my UK newspapers available on this device, has worn off very quickly, and I'm actually not using the product at all. So bear that in mind. Screen size for magazine and newspaper reading is not big enough. Look at something like the iPad. The Arcos 101 would be an interesting one to check there, because of the bigger screen. So just a few more things to tell you about before we wrap up this video. User interface. So those of you that have come from the iPad, the iPhone, or the iPod Touch will know how physical the user interface is and how consistent that is over a period of time, due to the architecture of iOS, the fact that it doesn't multitask or does a limited multitasking, and just general good architecture in that respect. Now, Android is a relatively wild operating system, multitasking, and it allows the users to be pretty wild as well in putting applications on it, and what happens as a result is the user interface experience decays after a period of time. And now, 6 weeks into using the Galaxy Tab, I'm seeing up to the point where it even locks up in the browser especially. I've seen that a number of times. I've even had 1 or 2 times I've had to reboot the device over the last 6 weeks. And now that's something that Android and Samsung will have to improve on by looking at the UI optimizations, Android core itself, plus the platform it's built on. So that's something that needs to be remembered. Printing. One of the big features of Samsung Galaxy Tab is that it prints, and there's a lovely feature in the browser, Print, but does it work with any printer? No, it doesn't. It only works with selected Samsung Wi-Fi printers. Now, actually I didn't even know Samsung did printers, so that gives you an idea of how common it's going to be for a user to have a Galaxy Tab and then, oh, I've got my Samsung printer and I can print to it. Bear in mind that printing only works to specific printers. Now I'm sure there'll be hacks to drivers for other printers, and I hope that happens soon, but anyway, it's not happening at the moment. And that's pretty much it. The last thing I had there was shared printers. So bear in mind that there are limits to the Galaxy Tab. A lot of them are to do with thinking that this device is a PC when it's actually really a smartphone on a smartphone platform with a smartphone operating system. You tend to think that the bigger screen gives you more capability and you start to do more. That's just going to slow the device down eventually, and you still have to exercise some caution in using multitasking, installing apps. And what I'm going to be doing after this video, after 6 weeks of owning the Galaxy Tab, is doing a full factory reset and starting again. I must have loaded in the last 6 weeks 100 apps to test them out, and it's time that I cleared this device out and started from scratch again. Having said everything negative about the Tab, and this really is negative video about the Galaxy Tab, I still love the device. I still think it's great value. It has a brilliant place in my life as a consumption device, and even with the great keyboard, a email, instant messaging, Twitter, and blogging device as well. I've done some short blogs on it as well. There are limits, but it's still a good device for me. I hope that video helps you with your choices on the Samsung Galaxy Tab. I'm Chippy, and I'm on carrypad.com. So check out carrypad.com for more information about the Galaxy Tab, including the full 3-part review, which has all the good bits in it as well. So thanks for watching. My name's Chippy. This is the Galaxy Tab.